When a person feels they are losing you, the first change does not happen in their behavior, it happens in their inner world. Something quiet begins to tremble. They may not speak about it, yet they sense a shift in your tone, your attention, your energy. The human psyche is extraordinarily sensitive to emotional distance. Long before words confirm it, the unconscious registers separation. In that moment, an old fear awakens, the fear of being replaced, forgotten, or no longer valued. This fear is rarely about the present alone. It carries echoes from earlier experiences where connection once felt uncertain or fragile. So when they begin to feel you slipping away, they are not only reacting to you, they are reacting to their own history. The mind tries to remain composed, telling them they are overthinking, but the heart feels something different. It feels instability. It feels the possible collapse of something that once felt secure. And from this tension, a powerful impulse begins to form. They may start observing you more closely, searching for signs, replaying conversations in their mind, questioning small details. What seems calm on the outside may hide intense internal dialogue. They are trying to understand whether the distance is real or imagined. As this uncertainty grows, so does urgency. The fear of losing you creates pressure inside them, and pressure demands release. That release often takes the form of an unexpected action. They might suddenly become attentive after a period of silence. They might express emotions they once avoided. They might attempt to create a memorable moment, as if trying to anchor you again to them. Sometimes the action is gentle and vulnerable. Sometimes it is dramatic or confusing. But at its core, it is driven by the same force, the instinct to preserve connection. When people feel they are losing someone important, pride becomes less important than attachment. The ego weakens under emotional threat. What emerges instead is raw honesty or reactive behavior, depending on their emotional maturity. This is why their response may surprise you. It is not random. It is the psyche fighting against the fear of absence. And in that fight, their true feelings, often hidden for a long time, come to the surface. When someone senses they are losing you, a subtle shift begins to influence their perception of everything you do. Small delays in response feel heavier. Ordinary silence feels symbolic. The mind begins to interpret neutral events as signs of withdrawal. This is not because they are irrational, but because attachment heightens sensitivity. When we value someone deeply, we become alert to even the smallest change in their presence. The unconscious mind constantly scans for patterns, and when a familiar rhythm is disturbed, it signals danger. In this state, the person may struggle between denial and awareness. One part of them wants to believe everything is fine, while another part quietly prepares for loss. This inner conflict creates emotional tension. They may appear distracted, thoughtful, or unusually observant. Internally, they are measuring the emotional distance between you and them. They are asking themselves questions they may never voice aloud. Have they done something wrong? Has your interest faded? Are you slowly stepping away? These questions echo in their thoughts, not because they seek drama, but because they fear disconnection. The deeper their attachment, the stronger this internal dialogue becomes. And from this psychological tension, behavior begins to shift. As the fear of losing you grows, their actions may become more intentional, sometimes even strategic. They might try to re-establish closeness by reminding you of shared memories or by increasing their presence in your life. They may show support in ways they previously overlooked. In some cases, they may even attempt to create situations that draw your attention back to them. This is not always manipulation. Often it is an unconscious attempt to restore balance. When someone feels their place in your life becoming uncertain, they try to secure it again. The unexpected gesture is usually a response to vulnerability. It may come in the form of a heartfelt message, an honest confession, or a sudden desire to spend more time together. Occasionally, it may appear as jealousy or emotional intensity, because fear can distort expression. Yet beneath all these behaviors lies a simple truth. They do not want to lose what you represent in their life. The possibility of separation forces them to confront their feelings more directly than comfort ever did. And in that confrontation, their true emotional investment becomes visible, not through grand words, but through the urgency of their actions. When a person feels they are losing you, one of the deepest forces activated within them is the fear of invisibility. It is not only about separation, it is about no longer being seen in the same way. Human beings build part of their identity through connection. In your presence, they may have felt understood, valued, or significant. The possibility of losing you threatens that reflection. Suddenly, they are confronted with the unsettling thought that the version of themselves that existed with you may fade. This creates a quiet urgency. They begin to question how they have been showing up. Were they distant? Were they expressive enough? Did they assume you would always remain? These reflections can lead to self-examination. In some individuals, this awareness becomes a moment of growth. They start recognizing patterns in their behavior that may have contributed to the distance. They may realize they withheld emotion, avoided vulnerability, or took your presence for granted. The fear of losing you becomes a mirror, forcing them to confront aspects of themselves they previously ignored. This internal reckoning is rarely dramatic on the outside, but it is powerful within. It marks the beginning of either transformation or defense. From this inner confrontation, their response begins to take shape. If they choose awareness, their unexpected action may be sincere and grounded. They might communicate openly, admit uncertainty, or express appreciation in ways they never did before. Their effort will feel intentional rather than reactive. It will carry humility instead of desperation. However, if they resist self-reflection, the unexpected behavior may appear defensive. They might downplay their feelings, act indifferent, or create emotional distance to protect themselves from possible rejection. In this case, the action is not about connection, but about shielding their ego from pain. Both reactions stem from the same origin: the discomfort of feeling replaceable. What determines the outcome is their emotional maturity. The fear of losing you acts as a catalyst. It exposes how they handle vulnerability. Do they lean toward honesty or retreat into pride? Do they risk openness or choose control? In either case, their behavior reveals more about their inner landscape than about you. When someone feels they are losing you, they stand at a psychological crossroads. The unexpected thing they do is not random. It is the expression of who they are when confronted with the possibility of loss. When someone feels they are losing you, another powerful force begins to surface within them: the instinct to reclaim control. Loss often feels chaotic. It brings uncertainty, and uncertainty challenges the ego's desire for stability. Instead of openly admitting fear, many individuals attempt to manage the situation indirectly. They may change their tone, adjust their behavior, or suddenly become decisive where they were once passive. This shift is not always conscious. It is the psyche's attempt to restore balance. If they sense that you are drifting, they may try to reposition themselves in your life in a way that feels stronger or more memorable. Sometimes this means becoming more present, more reliable, or more expressive. At other times, it may appear as subtle competition for your attention. The underlying motive is the same. They want to feel that they still have influence over the connection. Feeling powerless in relationships can be deeply uncomfortable, especially for someone who values emotional security. The possibility of losing you activates that discomfort. Rather than sitting with vulnerability, they may take action to reduce anxiety. The unexpected move often emerges from this need to regain footing. It might look bold, spontaneous, or even out of character. But internally, it is their way of saying, "I will not disappear without effort." At the same time, this instinct to reclaim control can reveal hidden insecurities. When someone feels secure, they do not rush to prove their importance. Urgency usually indicates fear. If they begin making grand promises, planning sudden changes, or intensifying communication, it may reflect their realization that they have more to lose than they expected. The fear of absence sharpens awareness. They begin to recognize the emotional value of what you bring into their life. This awareness can transform indifference into intention. However, if not balanced with self-reflection, the desire for control can create pressure instead of closeness. They may push too hard, speak too quickly, or act from anxiety rather than clarity. The unexpected action, therefore, becomes a revealing moment. It shows whether their attachment is rooted in genuine appreciation or in the fear of losing status within your world. When someone senses they are losing you, their behavior is less about strategy and more about survival of emotional significance. The way they respond, calmly or urgently, uncovers how they truly handle the threat of separation and how deeply they value the bond you share. When someone feels they are losing you, a deep awareness of time begins to press upon them. Moments that once felt ordinary suddenly carry weight. Conversations are replayed in memory, not for nostalgia, but for clues. They begin to measure what remains instead of what is guaranteed. This awareness of possible ending sharpens perception. They notice how often you initiate contact, how long you stay engaged, how your energy feels compared to before. The mind becomes analytical, but beneath that analysis is emotion. The fear of finality awakens something profound, the recognition that connections are not permanent simply because they once felt strong. In this stage, regret can surface. They may recall times they could have expressed gratitude but remained silent. They may see where they assumed your loyalty without nurturing it. This reflection can be uncomfortable because it challenges the comfort of certainty. When the possibility of losing you becomes real, complacency fades. They understand that relationships require participation, not assumption. This realization alone can shift their behavior. It is no longer about reacting impulsively. It becomes about correcting what they believe may have weakened the bond. The unexpected action that follows often carries the tone of urgency mixed with sincerity. It is an attempt to redeem lost effort before it is too late. At the same time, this heightened awareness can expose how much emotional investment truly exists. Sometimes a person only understands their depth of feeling when confronted with the idea of absence. The thought of you moving forward without them forces clarity. They may suddenly articulate emotions that were once vague even to themselves. The unexpected gesture may be simple, a direct conversation, a moment of honesty, a deliberate effort to spend meaningful time together. It does not need to be dramatic to be powerful. What makes it unexpected is the shift from passive presence to active intention. However, not every realization leads to healthy expression. If fear outweighs reflection, they may cling rather than communicate. They might try to rush closeness instead of rebuilding it steadily. The difference lies in whether they approach the situation with maturity or anxiety. When someone feels they are losing you, they stand between two paths, one driven by awareness, the other by fear. Their unexpected action reveals which path they choose, and in that choice, you see not only how they value the relationship, but how they respond to the fragile nature of human connection itself. When someone feels they are losing you, they are often confronted with a truth they have avoided. Emotional attachment creates vulnerability. As long as the connection feels secure, they can move comfortably, even casually. But when distance appears, vulnerability becomes undeniable. They begin to sense that their emotional balance depends more on you than they admitted. This realization can be unsettling. It challenges their self-image of independence and strength. The ego prefers control, yet attachment exposes dependence. In this moment, they may struggle internally. One part of them wants to protect pride, to remain composed and unaffected. Another part longs to reach out, to close the distance before it widens further. This internal tension is not visible at first. On the surface, they may appear normal, but beneath that calm, they are negotiating with themselves. Should they speak openly? Should they wait? Should they pretend not to care? The fear of appearing needy competes with the fear of losing you. This conflict often delays action, yet it intensifies emotion. And when emotion builds without release, it eventually finds expression. The unexpected thing they do is usually the breaking point of this inner debate. It is the moment when vulnerability overcomes hesitation. When that moment arrives, their action carries emotional weight because it comes from a place they do not easily reveal. They may choose honesty and admit that your distance affects them. They may confess feelings that were once guarded, or they may demonstrate change through behavior rather than words, becoming more attentive and present. This shift is rarely accidental. It is the result of confronting their own attachment. However, if they are not comfortable with vulnerability, the expression may take another form. Instead of direct honesty, they might test you, withdraw briefly to see your reaction, or create subtle emotional tension to gauge your interest. These responses still originate from fear, but they are filtered through pride. What matters is that the feeling of losing you disrupts their emotional equilibrium. It forces them to choose between self-protection and sincerity. The unexpected action becomes a revelation of their character. Do they risk openness to preserve connection? Or do they hide behind distance to protect themselves from potential rejection? In facing the possibility of losing you, they are also facing themselves. When someone begins to feel they are losing you, comparison quietly enters their mind. They may start imagining alternatives, not because they wish to replace you, but because they fear being replaced. The thought that you could invest your time, attention, or emotional energy elsewhere can create a subtle sense of competition. This is not always about another person. Sometimes it is about your goals, your independence, or your growing focus on yourself. When they sense that they are no longer the center of your emotional landscape, insecurity can awaken. They begin evaluating their own value in your life. Am I still important? Do I still matter in the same way? These questions can stir a deep need for reassurance. The mind may attempt to dismiss such thoughts, yet the heart keeps searching for evidence. They might observe your social interactions more closely or analyze changes in your routine. This heightened awareness can make them restless. It is not control they seek, but confirmation. When they feel uncertain about their place, they may attempt to reassert it. The unexpected action that follows often stems from this silent comparison. It is a response to the fear of becoming secondary in your world. As this insecurity intensifies, their behavior may shift in noticeable ways. They might try to highlight their strengths, remind you of shared history, or create experiences that reinforce connection. Sometimes they may become more expressive about their feelings, even if they previously avoided emotional depth. In other cases, they may test your loyalty indirectly, seeking signs that you still prioritize them. The form varies, but the root remains the same. They want to feel chosen. When someone feels they are losing you, the desire to be chosen becomes powerful. It is not merely about affection, It is about significance. Being chosen affirms identity and worth. If they handle this moment with maturity, their unexpected gesture will feel sincere and grounded, focused on strengthening the bond. If insecurity dominates, however, their actions may feel urgent or slightly pressured. Yet, even then, the motivation reveals emotional investment. The fear of losing you exposes how deeply they care. It forces them to confront the possibility that connection is not guaranteed. And in that confrontation, they are compelled to act, sometimes boldly, sometimes subtly, but always from the desire to remain meaningful in your life. When someone feels they are losing you, clarity often arrives in a way comfort never allowed. Distance has a way of revealing what closeness sometimes hides. While everything feels stable, emotions can remain unexamined. But when separation becomes possible, the mind sharpens. They begin to see the connection not as routine, but as meaningful. Habits that once seemed small now appear significant. Your presence, your consistency, your unique way of understanding them. These details rise in importance. The fear of losing you cuts through denial. It removes distraction and forces honesty. They may realize that they relied on your support more than they admitted. They may see that your absence would create a space no one else could easily fill. This realization can be humbling. It challenges pride and exposes genuine attachment. For some, this clarity feels uncomfortable because it demands responsibility. If they value you, they must show it. If they care, they must act. The unexpected gesture that follows often comes from this awakening. It is less about panic and more about recognition. They finally understand what you mean to them, and that understanding demands expression. From this point, their action can become deliberate rather than reactive. Instead of acting out of fear alone, they may approach you with intention. They might initiate a deeper conversation, address unresolved tensions, or express appreciation with sincerity. The unexpected nature of their behavior lies in its timing. You may not have seen this level of openness before, but it emerges because the threat of loss has dissolved hesitation. When people realize something valuable could disappear, they stop postponing honesty. However, the outcome depends on whether their clarity leads to courage. If they accept vulnerability, their efforts will feel steady and authentic. If fear still dominates, their actions may fluctuate between intensity and retreat. Yet even inconsistency reveals emotional investment. The awareness of possibly losing you has shifted their inner world. They can no longer pretend indifference. In confronting the fragility of connection, they are also confronting their own depth of feeling. And in that confrontation, they are moved to do something that breaks their usual pattern, something that reveals how much your presence truly matters in their life. When someone feels they are losing you, memory becomes unusually vivid. The mind begins to revisit shared moments with a different intensity. Ordinary experiences that once blended into daily life now appear meaningful. Laughter, quiet conversations, small gestures of support. These memories rise to the surface as if the psyche is trying to preserve them. This process is not accidental. When faced with potential loss, the human mind instinctively gathers emotional evidence of value. They begin to understand the depth of the bond not through logic, but through recollection. Memory reminds them of how they felt in your presence, how natural the connection once seemed. In this reflection, they may recognize how much comfort and stability the relationship provided. What they once assumed would continue effortlessly now appears fragile. This awareness can awaken gratitude, but it can also awaken regret. They may see missed opportunities, times they could have been more attentive or expressive. The weight of these realizations builds slowly. It is in this reflective state that something shifts. The unexpected action they take is often fueled by this accumulation of memory and meaning. It is not simply a reaction to distance, it is a response to remembering what they stand to lose. As these memories deepen their awareness, emotion begins to guide behavior more directly. They may attempt to recreate meaningful experiences, reminding you of moments that strengthened your bond. They might reference shared history in conversation, not as nostalgia, but as a reminder of connection. This effort can feel subtle, yet it carries intention. By bringing the past into the present, they hope to reignite what once felt secure. In some cases, they may openly express appreciation for what you have brought into their life, acknowledging it in ways they never did before. The fear of losing you has clarified your impact. However, if regret dominates instead of gratitude, their behavior may become urgent. They might rush to fix what feels broken without fully understanding the root of the distance. Even then, the motivation remains the same. They do not want cherished memories to become final chapters. When someone feels they are losing you, the power of shared experience becomes undeniable. Their unexpected gesture is often an attempt to protect not just the present connection, but the story you have already written together. When someone senses they are losing you, their imagination becomes a powerful force. They begin to anticipate scenarios that may never occur, projecting potential outcomes in vivid detail. The mind naturally seeks to prepare for loss, and in doing so, it magnifies both anxiety and longing. They might imagine how your life could continue without them, how your attention may shift elsewhere, or how emotional distance could grow further. These projections are not purely rational, they are infused with feeling. Each imagined possibility carries emotional weight, and the accumulation of these thoughts intensifies urgency. The person may start to act in ways that seem unexpected, sudden, or even uncharacteristic because the psyche no longer tolerates passivity. The imagination fuels awareness, and awareness drives action. In this sense, their unexpected behavior is a product of deep internal processing. It is the mind's way of negotiating with reality, attempting to influence circumstances before they feel irreversible. What may appear on the surface as impulsive is actually the expression of inner contemplation made visible. The person's inner world, previously hidden behind calm or routine, emerges through their gestures, words, and presence. Their imagination has acted as a bridge between thought and action, revealing both the depth of attachment and the urgency created by the fear of loss. At the same time, this imaginative process can awaken creativity in how they seek to reconnect. They may try approaches they have not used before, offering insights, experiences, or expressions that feel novel or particularly thoughtful. The unexpected act is often more than a reaction. It is a considered attempt to maintain relevance in your life. By envisioning possibilities, they discover new ways to communicate care, appreciation, or attention. Yet the quality of their response depends on emotional awareness. If they are attuned to their feelings and yours, the gestures will feel grounded and meaningful. If fear dominates without reflection, the actions may appear frantic or inconsistent. Regardless of form, the imagination serves as a catalyst. It brings what was internal and abstract into external reality, compelling behavior that otherwise may not have emerged. When someone feels they are losing you, their mind actively rehearses scenarios, evaluates consequences, and ultimately pushes them toward an action that bridges distance. The unexpected behavior is therefore not random. It is the manifestation of emotional urgency, cognitive